Hey, Oshin C here. If you could see behind me, I got my PC and we're gonna do a modification to it. I'm gonna change the stock Intel fan with an Enermax ETS T40. Currently, my CPU temperature max is 90 Celsius and it goes down as low as 49 Celsius, which in my opinion is pretty high actually. So what I want this to do, and after I implement this, I might even overclock my CPU, but for now we're going to show you how to install a CPU fan. Here we go. So as always, you always want to properly shut down your PC. You go to Start menu, go to Shut Down, shut it down, wait till it powers down. You want to turn off the power supply. I have an off and on button on the power supply here. Unplug the power from the power supply and then start unplugging your devices. I've already done some of them. So we got some wires that are going to be blocking our CPU fan. So we're going to unplug that just to be safe. We got our fan plug right back here. Now the stock is pretty simple to remove. It has these little twisty things. Take them out. And they should just pop right out. Take a look at that. Now I'm going to apply more paste. I got to clean that guy. This is the CPU. We're going to clean all of that up. Some alcohol. Woo! So much gunk. Great thing about this is it doesn't have any pins. So it's an older Intel i7 2780K. From what I know, the 80Ks, they can be overclocked. I'm gonna do a little bit more cleaning here. Gonna dry it up. And this currently does 3.5 gigahertz of speed. All right. Clean enough to me. Now we're going to open this guy up. All these years I've been using the stock CPU fan. Most I've been doing with the CPU is light gaming on low settings. And lots of video editing. Looks standard. Got an extension, bunch of brackets, comes with its own Enermax coolant, but I'm going to use the Arctic Silver. So I just found out that this isn't going to be as easy because this bracket needs to go behind the motherboard for the CPU fan to be able to be screwed in on top of the CPU. So it's going to be this bracket, the motherboard, the CPU on top of that, then the CPU fan. So I'm going to move my PC into a more comfortable position so I won't be working off the floor. Here we go. One of the tools I'm using is this set. It's a 65-piece ratcheting toolkit. It has a rotating screwdriver with the little spinny top. And then the cool thing about this piece is it's like a ratchet. So it's one of those that you could twist and lock and twist and lock and tighten. It's a really neat tool. So I was trying to make this easy as possible. The stock CPU actually didn't need any screws. It's just a little plastic thing that twists on and pops into these holes. But it looks like I have to remove my motherboard. So in this case, I'm going to remove the video card because it's screwed on here. And I'm going to remove some of the wiring so I can lift up the motherboard, put in the bracket, and then put everything back. We'll take it from there. Take this out. Change my little screw bit into a Phillips screw. Take this out. So much for magnetic. I just dropped a screw down there. Alright, release the video card. I'm going to pull the power to this fan. Got to take out a lot more wires than I wanted to. We could set the video card aside. We don't really need to completely put it out. Now for the motherboard. This is also going to give me an opportunity to make sure that the screws on the bottom of the motherboard are set correctly. So I'm going to do that too. What I need to do now is take this bracket. Intel side is here. Can you see it? Gonna take this bracket, put it right over. Fits with the screws on the motherboard, so actually it looks pretty stable. And now we're gonna take these longer ones. Now if you take a look at this, the screws actually have a flat side and a rounded side. The flat side goes towards the flat end over here. Oh, I messed up on this one, but it looks like it's stable and it's in the middle, so I'm not going to worry about it. And here it is from the back side. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take it, put it right through here. Fits perfectly, and we're done with the motherboard side. Now we can flip the motherboard back, and we're going to start putting in the other side, the other brackets, these little things. Now when you put it back, make sure you hold on to the tall screws so they don't fall back down, because you'll have to start all over. Align the screws up with the back plate screws. Try not to lose your screws. Again, it's best to use a magnetic screwdriver. At least the bits should be magnetic. It makes life much, much easier. And just like that, I have no idea, but I've lost some screws. Oh, found one. Don't forget to screw back your video card. Now, I'm going to put only some of the wiring back because our CPU fan is going to be standing up pretty high. I don't know how well some of the other wires, like this guy, is going to reach over, so I might have to go around and figure that out. So I'm gonna work on putting the CPU in first. Next, we're gonna put in these rubber. It's like thick rubber washers. Now these go on top of the tall screws, okay? Once you have the rubber on, it's recommended to put your CPU back in. So I've dropped the thick washers in to where the long screw goes. And at this point, I'm gonna put my CPU back. We're not gonna apply the freezer or cooling yet until we're ready to put on the fan. There's a few more steps before that, but right now we're gonna put the CPU in its place because we're gonna introduce new brackets to the equation. Now the way we put the CPUs, generally they have a specific way that it aligns with the motherboard. It has little notches. Gonna put the metal piece and then clamp it down. All right. Now that the CPU is in place, we could introduce the little metal brackets. The CPU fan is going to rest on this. Put this inside. This portion should be pretty simple. Goes right on top. Once those brackets are in, we're going to take these springy looking screws and we're going to screw on top of the metal brackets you just placed in. I'm not tightening it 100% yet. I'm going to take the screwdriver, tighten the spring screws a little bit more. They feel very stable. All right. I don't want to also tighten it where I warp the motherboard. It's going to damage the motherboard. Now, the last portion. We're going to apply the coolant onto the CPU. I use the little dab dot method. Just a tiny, almost pea size. Don't forget to peel off the sticker, okay? And according to the instructions, fan side goes towards the RAM, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put this here, and in fact, so once this is ready, once this is in, this little piece goes inside. Well, what I just discovered is I put in the brackets the wrong way. Now, it's possible that you need to play around with this and figure out what is the best way to put in your fan, because these brackets, and I'll show you this, the brackets had a little screw on top. Those screws fit in to this screw area, or this bracket fits into those screws, and so it depends on how you place them. So I'm going to take the brackets apart, I'm going to swap it and see if it still fits. Yes, it does. So now we're going to re-screw. This makes more sense because now I could put the fan this way, and this little bracket that screws on top of those little pointy screws, it's going to fit better. It's going to go in like this. Now, if you take a look, this little bracket
goes on top of that pointy screw. Okay, so I'm gonna put that back, I'm gonna tighten it up, and then we're gonna rewire everything. Well, I made another discovery. Because this fan is here, I cannot tighten the last screw. I need to get this fan off. The fan was already pre-installed. So now, unfortunately, hopefully I don't make a mess of the coolant. Simply snaps off, very easy. I'm going to screw it tight enough until there's no wiggle on the CPU fan. And it looks snug enough now. And now we're going to bring back the fan itself. We're going to... I liked how it was towards the ram, so I'm going to put it back that same exact way. And thankfully that it's a snap, it just snaps easily back. Now what I'm going to do with the wire, my fan wire, see that little red brown? That's where this wire goes in. Alright, if it doesn't reach, I do have an extender for that. It came with the kit. We'll use that if we need to. But right now I'm more worried about my fingers not reaching. Oh, it's actually perfecto. I'm very happy with that. Now we're going to rewire everything else. I'm not going to show you that part. I have another wire management video that I actually showed that. So I'm just going to cut the video out now. See you during the benchmark test. Okay, this is the moment of truth. Gonna plug everything back in. Got the CPU fan installed, fan facing this way, so it's blowing air towards the RAM, and I got these fans blowing air out as well. So most of the hot air, the way I've placed my fans, they're all blowing out. The only one that's blowing is the top fan. And I'm also gonna have a fan facing the video card and the CPU. That's also, I think this one blows hot air out too. Everything, mostly everything is blowing the hot air out except for one guy. I'm gonna plug everything back in. All right. If everything is plugged in correctly, this should turn on. Alright, I'm getting an error 27 on the motherboard, but good news, the CPU fan works. So I'm going to look into what the error 27 is. If I had to guess, it's either the wire or I put in the video card incorrectly. I'm going to look that up and fix that. But all in all, you saw how it is. Fan spins, everything's cool.